Welcome, everyone, to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien with RKB Paranormal, and I'm joined by my co-host, Josh. Josh, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
How you feeling after last night? You still suffering from that paranormal hangover?
Not too bad. I got home and got about 4 hours sleep. I'm good.
Yeah, that's all we need.
That's right.
Pretty excited about our guest this week. Most people should know who this guy is. So everybody, I want to introduce Britt Griffith. Most people know him from Ghost Hunters International. Britt, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Like I said, we're suffering from that hangover a little bit. So
yeah, I got a question. What did you guys drink?
Didn't drink anything. We were out pretty late investigating an old jail last night. So
oh, well, you see more ghosts the more spirit you have in you.
Right. Well, we did have
that's where we're failing.
Yeah.
And if you use mushrooms that turn purple or peyote, it really helps.
I'm sure it gets you really, really seeing some shit. Like I said, most people probably know you best from Ghost Hunters, which is where I know you from. I have to admit, growing up, Ghost Hunters wasn't one of my favorite shows, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to respect it a little bit more, and I've actually enjoyed it as I've got older. My wife and I have been watching all the old episodes.
Yeah.
And something we noticed about you. We noticed that you were one of the only ones that actually used all the equipment.
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah, I was an I'm an equipment freak.
And she actually pointed that out. She goes, he's the only one that actually uses the equipment. I think you and KJ was pretty much the only ones that use the equipment. And I was like, I got to respect that, because there towards the end, everybody was converting just using like their cell phones and stuff. And I was like, man, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's so don't get me wrong. The cell phone is a pretty powerful computer in your hand, and it has its place, and it does work. I mean, as long as you make sure the apps that you buy aren't coming from some unreputable site that puts goofy stuff in it. I mean, there are legitimate apps out there that do work for your cell phone. But my thought process was, I wanted like an electronic net. That's what the producers they used to laugh at me, because one of my last episodes I did, which I think was a 200 excuse me. I'm just getting over being sick.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I think it was the 200th episode. It was with Joe Chen. We were down in some basement. Where the fuck? Oh, wait, are we allowed to cuss on your podcast?
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Anything okay, good goes, man.
Okay, good. Because I use the fuck word as a everyday adjective, almost every sentence adjective. Anyway, we were down this long hallway down where the kitchen was at, and I put out 74 pieces of equipment in this kitchen.
Oh wow!
From K2s to recorders to geophones to, I mean, everything we had. I mean, I literally emptied the Taps van into my duffel bag and went out and just spread the stuff everywhere. And for me, it's like, once you get that stuff laid out, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I used to be, when I first started doing this, and for me, I was on a paranormal team before Ghost Hunters, the TV show, was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I actually remember watching the very first Ghost Hunters episode. What was that, 2004, I think, during Halloween?
Something
and
like that,
yeah. I remember watching it. And then at the end of it, I looked over at my ex-wife now, and I said, wow, I think this is the first paranormal show I can actually watch. Because that first episode, they debunked everything, which was amazing. But so I was into this before the TV show hit. And then once I got on the show and all that stuff, but I was so into the equipment, I would focus on the equipment, and I would miss everything that was happening around me from a personal experience, because I was so focused on the equipment.
Right.
And it actually, Amy Bruni, actually, we were drinking wine one night on the show. We were out on the road reviewing all stuff, and she made a comment to me that that because she was talking about what she personally got to witness and see. And I was in the same room where they're doing this, we were teamed up that particular episode, and I missed it all personally. Now the equipment documented a bunch of stuff, which was cool as shit, but I personally missed it. So once I thought about that, we had that conversation, we kind of broke it down, and what came out of that was I now set the equipment up, and then I step back from the equipment, and I then personally observe the room and make my contacts. Kind of like what we watch now. Everybody's got these. The shows have really gotten away from the equipment for the most part, and it's all about what they feel and see, and and it's like, oh, now it's basically just a psychic show now. Okay, and they really don't do the equipment. But once I would set the equipment up and let it do its thing, which is record and document and data document. And then also like the REM pod, it'll make a sound. So then you can know to focus on it instead of just staring at it. So then I started personally experiencing a lot of stuff on top of the equipment doing its stuff. And for me, having a personal experience that's backed up by the equipment that matches what the client says, that's a badass piece of evidence.
Right.
So, and that was the trick for me. I had to really, so the first part of my whole thing, I mean, even before I was on the show, I was all about the equipment and monitoring the environment because that's all we're doing. We're looking for fluctuations in the environment. We're home inspectors. We're looking for the EMF to go into flux and freak out because that normally doesn't happen. The temperature to drop 25 degrees in a room, unless the air conditioner kicks on, but hopefully you're smart enough. Oh, we got temperature drop. Is the air conditioner on? No, the air conditioner's not on. Why is the temperature dropping? Is the window open? No, no windows are open. Okay, why is the fucking temperature dropping? We're looking for fluctuations that aren't normal. The barometric pressure. Barry Fitzgerald taught me about the barometric pressure. I didn't even think about the barometric pressure. And then I got a bunch of gauges, and it actually barometric pressure fluctuates when paranormal activity happens for whatever reason. The barometric pressure is damn near steady. It doesn't drop. I used to, man, I'm drawing a blank. It's been so long on the barometric bar. What the fuck that name is? Anyway, the barometric pressure going up and down shouldn't happen. I mean, unless there's a tornado going over your house. But hopefully you would notice a fucking tornado going over your house.
I'd hope
you can rule that out. But, if you have pretty much steady weather and a front not moving through, it shouldn't fluctuate. So once we start figuring out how to monitor the environment, and for this podcast, I'll keep it tied to the show because people can then go watch it, or maybe they'll even remember the episodes. But, when we did the, what was the hotel? The one that fucking Bagans had the brick thrown at him in Vegas. Nevada. What was that?
The Goldfield?
Goldfield Hotel.
Yeah.
So when Chris Williams and I were in that room where the radiator was, where the lady was chained to it and died until she had the baby, they threw the baby in the well, and then she died at the radiator, and all that EVP stuff we had, all of that EVP came off of one recorder that was next to a K2 that flickered. And when we were investigating and they were filming us, I go, oh, the K2 just flickered. I mean, I actually say it. It's in the episode. And all the EVP came on that recorder. What the editors, unfortunately, and it's just because they don't know, but what the editors didn't lay out was there were 5 recording devices in that room. There was several K2s in that room and geophones and stuff in that room. And it was only that one K2 in the middle of the room that lit off, and only that one recorder that picked up the audio. I think it was something, if I remember correctly, the EVP was like, where did the bitch go? And stuff like that. Where are the boys at? But it was all in that one recorder by that one K2 that lit off. So what that told me was if it was a production walkie-talkie or an outside something outside of our room that affected the environment, everything would have lit off.
Mm-hmm.
All the K2s would have lit off. If it was an audible sound, we would have heard it. Our audio packs would have picked it up, and all the other recorders would have picked it up. But they didn't. It was just that one recorder in the middle of the room. Nothing else picked it up. So being able to monitor the environment, and at that time I was really new, and that was like my second episode on the show, and I was so excited. I wasn't firing on all cylinders to pay attention to shit, but I did note verbally, oh, that K2 flickered when none of the other ones did. So that's why I throw out the ghost net, I call it, the electronic ghost net, to try and, can we watch them walk across the room?
Right.
One of the private investigation did before I was on Ghost Hunters. I had REM pods lined up down this hallway. It was in Tehachapi, California. A bunch of Native Americans up there, lots of Indian wars, and then when the cavalry came through and the Spanish, lots of death up in this mountain range. And this one house was off the hook, haunted. And I was sitting at the end of this long hallway, and I had 5 REM pod type devices lined up down the hallway. And at the very end of the hallway, the REM pod lit up, was, and then the next one closer, and the next one closer, as it's walking towards me. And if my ass had feet, I would have fucking backtracked right through the wall behind me because this thing was walking at me. So that, to me, that's why the equipment's important, because it disconnects the human brain, because the human brain from the activity, or will substantiate the human brain activity, because the human brain will misfire and I mean, we see schizophrenic people who are talking to people all day long that no one sees. Are they
Mhm.
there? Or are they not there? I mean, we really don't know. But I mean, hell, they could be talking to people. We don't know. But getting that human element out of it. Also, there's the phenomena I call it. Everybody, oh, look what I got. Look at me over here. I got this evidence, and it's a piece of dust going in front of the IR. Come on. It's just blah blah blah. They want their 15 minutes of the fame so bad that everything's haunted. But if
Yes.
you can remove that from the human element from it, and then you have it documented on equipment that just does what it does, that to me is the ideal way to go. And then tie that together with what the client says and what you personally experience. Then it makes for a really cool piece of whatever the hell we're dealing with evidence.
Right. And saying that's what I always enjoyed about the way you would investigate, because you would always incorporate as much equipment as you could. And that's kind of how we investigate. We use as many tools as we can other than just our senses, and we try to debunk as much as possible before we just say, okay, that's a ghost or that's paranormal. And I'm glad you brought up the dust thing, because we're real skeptical on orbs, because unless
Yeah,
it's
there's a thing about, look, this is what people don't realize. Number one, orbs, the false positive orbs is a digital camera phenomena. Since we've come up with digital cameras, it's all computer chip stuff. It's all ones and zeros, X's and O's. And, you're focused all the way across the room on the wall to take your photo. A little bit of dust is between your focus point and the lens. The flash goes off. It hits that dust. That light reflects down the barrel of the lens, and the computer chip doesn't know what the hell to do with it.
Mhm.
So it makes that orb look, that big out of focus. Whoa, what the hell is that look?
right.
And that's all it is. But orbs are a real thing, though.
Oh yeah.
You just have to, and this is what I try to tell people when I do my lectures. Number one, I tell people, I said, if you have photos of orbs and you bring them up to me, I'm going to tell you it's nothing. And 100% of the time, people bring up orb photos. Even though I tell them ahead of time, I'm going to tell you it's nothing. But if you're in a dark room and you see a ball of light with your eye,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take a picture with no flash, or even with a flash, and it's on your photo, if you saw it with your naked eye in a dark room, that's interesting. What is that all about? Continue to investigate, do your EVP sessions, do your whatever your SOPs are for your team, whatnot. But you have to see it with your own eye. If you're in a dark room and it's dark and you go, a big flash goes off, and then you look at it and you go, oh my God, there's orbs everywhere. No, you just need to dust your damn house.
Right.
Hire a maid. I mean, anyway.
That's why most of the time when we capture something that people would get excited about, we just kind of toss it out, because it's just like you said, it's most of the time going to be dust or a bug or something, and it's nothing to get too excited about.
Well, if it's a bug and it's crawling on you, I might get excited. Just
Right.
saying.
Yeah. So you said you actually started watching the show before you got on it. So how did you actually get to be a part of the show?
Hookers and blow, and lots of it.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's the Hollywood way, man.
Right.
So I got Jay really coked out and got a couple of midget hookers, and he was no. I went to the Queen Mary. They were doing an event there. It was like season 3 or something like that. They were in. And they were doing a paranormal event at the Queen Mary, and I went to it with my team, and we had a blast. And I met Jay and Grant, and I had so much fun at that event because we got to go places you don't normally get to go,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was real. I didn't realize that happened at these paranormal events. I thought that was really badass. We got to go into the bow of the Queen Mary. I've never been there before. I grew up in Long Beach. I heard the horn all of my life at the Queen Mary because it goes off every day at noon. And it was badass. So then I was like, oh, they have an event the next month at Eastern State Penitentiary, where Al Capone stayed, the original roundhouse, 23-hour lockdown, hardcore prison. I want to go check that out. So, and at the time I was making really good money in the asphalt industry. It's like liquid gold. So I jumped the plane and went, and they were like, dude, you're here, you're partying with them. And I hung out with them. I just became friends with them. And then for a year, I did one thing that everybody else did. I didn't do the one thing that everybody else did. I didn't ask to be on the show. And at the time, I didn't understand this. But once I was on the show and I was around all the time, I could, someone new would kind of come into the circle at an event, and you could almost go 5, 4, 3, 2. then the question, if you ever need me to carry the bags to the plane for you, I never did that. And plus, I was on a team already, and I was doing it. And plus, I was helping Jay and Graham with the Taps family stuff at the time, and trying to, because they were so busy doing the show. So I just basically became friends. And then one day, Jay called. And look, I work in the asphalt manufacturing industry, not on the road. I was the guy that actually made it at the manufacturing plant and dropped it in trucks. And that's a 10, 12-hour day job, 6 days a week. It's a man-eating job. Blue collar job, hardcore. I'm a welder, heavy equipment operator. I swing a hammer. But it pays very well for not having a college education. For having a trade school education, I made really good money. But one day Jay called and goes, "Hey, we got this really big case at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Do you think you could take a week off of work and come out and help us?" And I was like, and at that time I had like 9,000 hours racked up, and I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, I'll take a week off and go do that." And I was so good. Let me tell you, I was so good on camera. You got to see my elbow, my knee, and my shoe. I got cut out of the entire fucking episode. That was that horrible. But then they came to the California swing, and I gave them some sites out here, Clovis Sanitarium, Star of India, and I ended up doing a couple of them out here. And one of the producers took the time to talk to me about what needs to be done. And this is the secret with these ghost shows. Amy and I worked together before Ghost Hunters was on the air. We were both on teams before. Her team was in Northern California. Mine was in Southern California. We'd meet in the middle and we'd do investigations together. Amy and I could literally go and investigate, maybe say 3 words to each other because we knew each other that well. And we knew exactly what was going on. And we could literally talk via facial expressions for the most part, body language. But how boring is that for the crowd, for the people watching?
Yeah.
The trick is you just got to talk everything out, everything that you're doing. You just got to talk it out so that the editors can tell a story. So people go, "Oh, well, you're faking stuff." Then no, we're not faking shit. We're just it's a different way of living life. We're just enunciating everything so that they can tell the story of whatever we're investigating. And then he taught me a little trick, how to trick my brain to be able to do the OTFs, the on the fly interviews. Like we were sent into this room to investigate this claim that little Jimmy got stuck in the radiator and burned to death. And we had to figure out why he got stuck to, being able just to rattle that shit off. When I first started, I couldn't do, but there's a way you can trick your brain to do that. And is that faking shit? No, it's telling a story because it is TV and we have to blend it. And there are so many people out there, and even people I work on the show, that were like, "You don't talk to production. You fuck the editors. If they can't make it work, it doesn't happen." No, they're paying $500,000-$600,000 for an episode or whatever. You got to give them the ability to tell the story. But once that producer worked with me, then all of a sudden it was like I came alive and production liked me, the network liked me, and I was legitimately investigating. I was able to blend it all, so I did it. And I'm a Gemini to boot, so I'm pretty friendly and outgoing, and I'm a jumper. I jump. Shit makes me, so that made me great for TV because I freak out when shit happens. And fuck was that?
There you go, Damien. See, you're in there, bub.
Yeah. I'm that guy on the team. So it
yeah.
And it's always something not paranormal that scares me. So
well, most of the time it's not paranormal. I mean, that's the other thing. When I was on the when I was on the non-TV team, and particularly before Ghost Hunters even came on the air, number one, it was a pain in the ass to go anywhere and investigate. People would, "You do what?" And they would laugh at you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like taboo. It was in the closet. You don't talk about your,
Yep.
But every now and then we would get people that, they would talk. And I mean, probably 99.998% of the time we could debunk everything. Just legitimately debunk everything, because most of the time it's just the environment. It just happens. But every now and then you would get that, "Well, we experienced what you said, and we don't know what the hell that's all about. Holy crap." Every now and then it happens, but it's so rare, especially for a non-television show, for a team without a budget, not even necessarily TV, but just without a budget. And, this is why I tell people that people always want to dog the Ghost Hunter show. Well, in the beginning, they, first, they were saying stuff wasn't haunted, but now every episode is haunted and and well, yeah. Why is that? I tell people, think about why is that? The first season was 13 episodes. 10 of the 13 episodes had no activity at all. They're all debunked. Why was that? Well, because it wasn't on the air yet. No one knew it. So they were going to places and they weren't You know, they were hitting them dry. They didn't have any information on them. And then once the show was on the air, all of a sudden, all these little ghost teams from around the country started sending in emails to the show, you know, the social media page, to Jay and Grant direct via taps, saying, hey, you know, we just investigated this house over here and it was holy crap. This is what we got. And they would send links to their evidence. So all of a sudden, the show had all these teams across America, across the world, sending in tips and sending in what they got and showing. So then the production company was able to put a couple producers on that, and they would do the research, and they would call and talk and get the information and look, and they would evaluate it. All of a sudden, we had this amazing filtration system that the show was able to go to all these hotspots. We had the budget to fly and send the equipment, so it really started to increase our positivity rating because we were pre-weeding out the non-haunted locations. We had all these teams saying, this place is crazy active, this place is crazy active, this place is crazy active. And we were able to hit it. So that's why the show has so many haunted locations. Some seasons it was 100%. And it was just because we're able to filter it that way. I mean, Amy and Adam's show, Kindred Spirits, I mean, Amy is a genius at social media. And I mean, she just puts out, hey, we're looking for, cases, and boom, she gets 1,000 emails of stuff in this particular region of America.
Right.
And so they're able to pre-screen it. And that's how come they have such a positive hit now on these shows. Is there's a system in place of all groups like you guys out there kind of pre-screening stuff. And that's what I try to tell people. So it's not that they're faking stuff. It's that we have the ability with the budget to drop what we're doing and go to wherever in the world and investigate it. Someone got caught drinking.
Yeah.
Why is Josh in the dark? Is he afraid of the light?
Yeah, very much so. You gotta live in the darkness.
Okay.
You don't make me forget what I was fixing to say. So more or less, like your viewers there for a good point of time was picking your locations for you.
I don't want to say picking, but we got lots of suggestions, and then the production company, the research team, they're all, everybody in Hollywood, everybody's a producer. If you're above the line, anybody that's in the office is a producer because they're producing stuff, they're researching. The researchers would take all these tips that would come and they would start calling. They would call the location. They would call back to the team. Sometimes they would call witnesses who experienced stuff and kind of do the pre-research. Jay and Grant and Chris Williams at the time when I was there, they would get the docket of all this information. They would go through and they go, yeah, that's what we want to do. Or no, not this one, not that one, So I don't want to say they picked the fans or the team's pick. It's just,
right.
We got lots of tips that were pre-screened that had lots of information instead of just trying to do it dry. Like before the show was on, I mean, I don't know if you guys were in this before on an organized team before the show was on, but getting into a place to investigate was difficult because people just laughed at you because it was a taboo thing to talk about. Once the show was on, man, everybody started talking about it and you get into all kinds of stuff. But still, as a local home team like you guys, at least 99% of the shit you guys go to should be debunked. It's just paranormal activity is rare. It's not that active unless you have the budget to hopscotch multiple states, and then you have a different percentage. But if you're just a local team trying to help people, you should be able to debunk 99% of the time. And that's important because I mean, we had people, we'd be standing at their driveway and they would literally look at me and Dave and go, depending on what you guys tell us is whether we sell this place or not. So off of what we do for a hobby, they're going to make a major life financial decision on. So, but what I found out, or what I figured out over the time of doing this for many years, is that we would tell somebody, hey, you said X, Y, and Z. We went in, X, Y, and Z happened, but we figured out is your door's off kilter, which when the truck goes by on the freeway next to the really heavy trucks go by, it rattles and your closet door will roll open. And, we tell them and you could just see them go, okay, number one, I'm not crazy. Someone else experienced it. Okay. And I have something to hang my hat on as to what it is. And they're just like relieved. The other thing I found out is that when people would tell us, hey, X, Y, and Z, how we go, yeah, we experienced X, Y, and Z. And our equipment went off the chart and we talked to them. We don't know what that, you definitely got some activity going. Same reaction, relief that they're not crazy. Someone else experienced it. And then they were okay with it. Once they had, people just think they were going crazy.
Right.
And then they would go back. It's like we were giving them back their castle. It was amazing. So most of the time that happened. I don't think we ever had anybody sell their house because of what we said, but we had a lot of people be, just like, oh,
Just
okay, I'm not
kinda-
crazy.
Right, just relieved. And like you said, it was back before the show really came out, it was kind of taboo. We didn't actually have a team back then. It was just 3 or 4 teenage friends that loved the paranormal and was intrigued by this stuff. And so when the shows finally started coming on, we were like, well, people actually do this stuff. And so,
Yeah.
that really got us more interested in it. And it took quite a few years for us to actually get our team going. But, Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and all those early shows is what made us realize, hey, people actually go out and do this stuff. We're not, a bunch of, crazy people that want to go do this stuff. So,
Well, we are crazy, but for
oh
other
yeah,
reasons.
oh yeah.
So, like, I've got a question. So, you've been to all these different places.
See,
What has got to be your by far favorite location you've been to?
that's a really hard question to answer because I've been to so many amazing places and got
I
paid
know,
for it.
I know.
Um,
That's why I had to ask, though.
Yeah, because I love history actually more than I love the paranormal. I mean, I got to see some cool shit. We investigated the Baseball Hall of Fame. We got to do a behind the scenes tour with white gloves on, obviously, but I got to hold the last bat that Babe Ruth hit a home run with. Got to
Oh,
hold
wow.
the world's oldest known baseball, which is from like 18 something. Cy Young's glove. It's like crazy stuff like that's cool. We did the old State House in Connecticut, and that building is still standing from the original Revolutionary War because our armies occupied it when we had that area. Then the British armies occupied it when they had that area, so it never got burnt to the ground. So that original building with all its original furniture was still there, apparently, or so they told us. So, but that's the building where George Washington negotiated with the French to win, to get the extra troops to win the war. So
Right.
when no one was looking at the end of the night at 3 a.m., we're wrapping stuff up. And yes, we wrapped up all of our own shit. We put it out and we wrapped it up. That was not fake. It was not a production crew behind us picking up shit for us. We did it all. But when no one was looking, man, I stepped across those velvet ropes and I sat in that chair at that big long table where I sat in George Washington's ass crack, basically. I mean,
Hell yeah.
I'm like an American first, proud American. Fuck the rest of the world. We are number one. Bring our factories back. Fuck China. Put our people to work. Have a better system. I'm hugely proud American. So for me to sit at that table, put my hands on that table, and just realize I would stop and take the time to just absorb that if it wasn't for that meeting, we wouldn't be here today as we are. I mean, we might be here doing something else, probably
Right.
answering to the queen, but
Right.
but we wouldn't be what we are today. And that was such an incredible pivotal moment for our country to form the way that it has. So, for me, a lot of that stuff was just amazing. I mean, I did an EVP session right on the spot where the Hindenburg crashed and burned. I mean, the spot where, we watched the video, oh, the humanity, the thing coming down, people jumping out. Right where that crashed, I did an EVP session there at Pensacola. I mean, how do you pick one out of? We did Waverly Sanitarium. I got to roam one of the most haunted places I've ever been to, Waverly Sanitarium. I got to roam the halls alone and get the shit scared out of myself from the ghosties and whatnot. I mean, how do you pick one? I mean, when I was on GHI, we think we have old stuff over here, 300-400 years old. I mean, I was over in an alley that was built before freaking Jesus Christ walked the planet, so, how cool is that? These castles that we were in. I mean, we investigated the castle that gave Shakespeare the inspiration for Hamlet, right? Yeah, Hamlet. Where King Henry VIII, when I chopped off all of his wives' heads, where he honeymooned, that same castle. I got to be in the same room that King Henry VIII was in. We were doing this investigation. We're walking down this hallway, and there's like this, looked like a very fancy nightstand. And then on it was this big book. Remember the big dictionaries in school? The really big ones that had the tabs.
Yeah.
You'd pop a hernia trying to pick it up. Well, there was a big, huge book like that there. No glass over it, no ropes around it. And we stopped. I think it was with Joe Chen at the time. And we're doing our thing. And I'm like, oh, look at this parchment paper. And I'm turning it and, looking at the paper. It's in a different language, so I can't read it. But I'm flipping it. It's really cool. not italic, calligraphy writing, all handwritten. And the camera guy leads up from his camera, goes, "Dude, that's a 16th century Bible you're touching." You know,
Damn.
so I mean, so I'm flipping pages of this, and it's just insane. Some of the stuff I got to do and see and experience, and I mean, I got to investigate in the Ukraine, in Lviv, which is no longer there because Russia flattened it. But the hotel we stayed in is gone. It's been bombed to the ground. But beautiful people, amazing place. So how do I pick one?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick one. I mean,
Yeah, because you've had your hand on so many things of American history, and
yeah.
not even just American history, but I mean, for our big thing, American history. And so, yeah, it is difficult to name that one spot.
I mean, we investigated the house out here in California where they think the Black Dahlia murderer lived. Do you remember the Black Dahlia, the actress that cut and all that stuff? There's a whole lot of crazy. I mean, I made a low budget movie that made the distribution about the Black Dahlia. We put Black Dahlia and Paranormal together, and actually had a pretty cool little movie. But we got to investigate that place, and I made the suggestion, which they didn't give me fucking credit for. And then they had Steve Gonzalez go with them with the dogs. I was like, we should get a blood sniffing dog in this basement because we were getting activity in the basement. And the fucking blood sniffing dog hit on blood in that basement. And then the fucking production company, the editors, the executive producer didn't think it kind of went with the story. It wasn't a big deal. It's only the most famous unsolved murder case in LAPD history. And we had new lead for them. And they didn't think to put it in the episode. They did a little ad on the DVD extra and in the online version. But they didn't put it. It's like, you freaking, I mean, LAPD detectives went there after that. We're like, what's going on in this basement? I mean, so like the Black Dahlia, I mean, it's like, I got to investigate the place where she was probably killed and bled out at, and probably a bunch of other fucking stars. Who knows? But yeah, so how do you pick one? The equipment advancements that I got to do on that show, just, I'd be doing a case and someone will reach out and go, da, 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 da. I got this little device here. Like, I was like, really? Okay, that's awesome. Like I'll give you a great example. So Andy Kopic is a great friend of mine. He ended up on Ghost Adventures for a couple episodes with some of his crazy UV cameras. But when we did Pensacola Lighthouse and I felt the footsteps walk right by me, I was like, right with Amy, I was like, right freaking by me. I mean, I literally felt the footsteps go by me. But in my head, it was like, okay, I felt it. You guys just have to believe me. How do I fucking document that shit? So Andy shot me an email and said, bro, I got something for you. And we were talking, and on his lathes at his work, because he makes lasers, there's a little device that goes on that senses the vibration. And when the lathe gets enough out of round, the lights light up to a certain point. He knows he's got to shut it down, clean it up. It's just, but we adapted that to what we needed, which is where the geophone came from. All those people out there with little vibration sensors, yeah, that came from Andy and me because I was on the show. And he happened to see what I was investing, what I experienced, and we were able to tie it together and make stuff happen. A lot of stuff happened like that. It was awesome. So, figuring out that we need to be in the UV range, not the IR range, to really document what's going on. That came because of the show. And then Andy making this UV camera that was like, we started seeing crazy stuff. I was like, what is this all about? Just sad that UV is so expensive to make.
Oh, I can imagine.
So how do you pick one? How do you pick one place? You don't.
All right, so I'll toss this out to you. You've been to all these amazing locations, lots of history. Is there a place that you've never been to that you've always wanted to go to?
I mean, I would love to go to the White House. There's stories about that place being haunted. We actually on our local team here, for a few years, we had a Secret Service couple on the team.
Oh wow!
Legit Secret Service, protect the president, the whole nine yards. But they would tell stories about there's weird shit happening at the White House, other than the politics that are going on, but just legitimate crazy shit. That would be amazing. I mean, I'd love to be able to do an EVP session at the base of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh yeah,
Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, just to see if anything comes out of that. But I just love the adventure. Anything that has significant historical consequences or historical standing, I'm game.
Right.
Have equipment.
That's how we are too. We're big on the history part of everything, and if it's got an interesting history, we're automatically on board with it.
Yeah, anything with history, anything with good food.
Food.
And I was gonna say something else, but the girlfriend will yell at me if she watches this, so I'll just shut up.
Oh goodness. Well, the White House, I think, definitely would be cool.
Yeah, it'll never happen. They don't want
Yeah.
those secrets out.
Oh
But
no, absolutely not. So do you still investigate from time to time, or you kind of just put that in your back
I do.
pocket for now?
I mean, when I came off the show, which was 5-6 years ago now. God, I can't believe it's been that long. I mean, I was burnt out like a mofo, and I just didn't want anything to do with it. I did it for 7 years straight, 300 days out of the year. I was gone from home.
Right.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's a brutal show. And it's because they basically investigate on the East Coast, and I'm a West Coast guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I was pretty burnt out. But now my kids are super into it. So I have 18-year-old twins. Well, they're 19 now, and a 15-year-old. And they're all into it. Their friends are into it. So I go out with them from time to time, and their friends all freak out. Oh my god, we got Ghost Hunter with us, type of thing. And so it's kind of cool. But yeah, I go out with them, and yeah, I do. Now that I've kind of gotten out over the burnout, and I'm having fun with the kids and seeing their excitement and their first experiences with crazy stuff, like the spirit box. That now that I understand how to use it, and watching them use it and get all excited. No, I know it wasn't activity, but I let them get excited. I let them go for the ride, and then I debunk it, or let them debunk it, and then come for the crash, and but just watching them go through their first has been a lot of fun. So yeah, would I go on a show 300 days out of the year and do the amount of work that I did, like I did on Ghost Hunters? I probably wouldn't do that again. But would I go on, a hunt here and there, or an event here and there? Yeah, I'd do that. But I'm old now. I go to bed at 8. I don't want to be up late. I get cranky. Man, I now understand why old people are cranky, and why when they become ghosts, they're not demons, they're just cranky old ghosts. It's because you're waking us up in the middle of the night.
Right.
So, oh goodness, that can make sense.
Yeah.
So you say you're open to doing like cons and stuff. Do you have any cons coming up that you're attending to?
Nope. No. I don't get asked. I am kind of the black sheep of the Ghost Hunters franchise, and a lot of those guys will not. They literally tell the con people, if I'm there, they won't go. So I get cut because I'm not the guy. Yeah, I'm a bit of an asshole sometimes. And I don't put up with pedos. So, so I'm a little bit of a black sheep, and I'm not that aggressive for it. I'm really not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love people, and shaking people's hands and telling stories and making them happy and giving them entertainment, and I love doing that. I mean, I am a showman by trade, not by trade, but by being a Gemini. And I did have a lot of fun at it, but I also won't do them for free. And right. And then the ones that pay, they take all the people that are on shows now. So it is what it is, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. Whatever. I'm just living life. I got other things I'm doing now. I'm racing lawnmowers and doing some survival stuff, and hanging out with my kids. And
hey, you got to do what you got to do to keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah.
So now I do want to say that I read that you have your own podcast. Do you have your own podcast?
I did. So I was doing a political podcast called The Independence Gang with JB Johnson, but I did that for a year and 3 months, something like that, every day, 5 days a week. Wow. It was 7:00 my time, 10:00 East Coast time. JB was on the East Coast, and I did it for a year and 3 months, 5 days a week. And it was literally, I would go work during the day, swing the hammer all day long, and then I would come home, and it was putting together a good podcast is a lot of work, a lot of research, especially politics, because you got to be accurate. And so I would spend 4 or 5 hours prep and doing the podcast, and then the wind down afterwards. And so my whole day was just shot. And for me, the podcast landed right at 7:00 for me. So I was starting my prep at 3:00. So my whole primetime family time was taken up by this podcast, and it just wasn't. It wasn't. We did it. I told in my head, I was like, we're going to do this for a year, and we're going to see where we're at. And if it's making a little bit of money that allows me not to take on so much work on my construction company, then where I could spend time with my kids, then I'd keep doing it. But it wasn't making anything because it's a very crowded space. I mean, there's like 4,000 political type podcasts out there, and to get in and cut your teeth and grow the audience and make money to be able to quit your day job, it just wasn't happening. So I had to bow out of that. JV's still doing it, still a great podcast. I think he's doing it with a guy named Matt Couch. And they run their mouths and do their thing, and that's a better fit for JV anyways, because Matt Couch, he's a writer, so he's home all day. He doesn't have to go away during the day to work. So
Right.
yeah, so they're doing their thing. And then now you know what? But I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm happy. It's I don't get me wrong. I love to run my mouth, as you can tell. I'll talk about anything. I love to talk politics. So anybody that's watching this, if you go on Instagram or Facebook, I don't do politics there at all. That's just the fun. That's family stuff. That's my lawnmower racing. That's my survival stuff. That's just fun and just it's easy stuff. But if you want to talk politics, go over to Twitter. That's the battle zone for politics, or Twitter, Getter, and Truth. I run my mouth over there all day long, yelling at people and being a maniac. So that keeps me happy. And then, so now I swing the hammer all day long. But I just, as you can see over my shoulder, City Guy Surviving. That's my new show that I'm working on now. We're halfway through filming the first episode. Actually, I might as well plug the fucker.
There you go. Go for it.
I can't show you the title because I don't have the permission yet. But basically, I'm taking survival books. So
What happened?
I don't know. I think he froze.
I don't know.
the first episode is
we're gonna have to scratch that because you froze completely.
oh my god. See, that's the government. That's the government shutting us down. I am so throttled on Twitter because of the shit I say. I am so against the grain.
All right. So if you just want to start again, yeah, you completely froze up.
Where at what point?
Right when you
couldn't-
lifted up, you couldn't announce the name, and you froze right after that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. So goddamn COVID. All right. So anyway, so basically City Guy Surviving is what it's called. But so basically I got these survival books along with the food and whatnot, and I was going through them and I'm like, man, does that really work? Can this really work? I mean, I build stuff for a living, so I'm like, what the hell? So the first episode is in this particular book, it says you could take 3 5-gallon buckets, get some river rock sand, some charcoal, a screen mesh off of a screen, and a rag, and you put that all together, and then you can get river water and pour it through it and filter it to make it decent water. You still have to boil it, which I totally get, but it gets all the impurities out of it. And then you boil it and you have drinking water. And I was like, wait, 3 buckets, some sand, some rock, and some charcoal, and I can fucking filter river water? Give me a break. So I'm in the process of building it. I'm still working with my buddy, Andy, the scientist, the quantum physicist scientist. So I went around here, and I live in LA. I went around to the Santa Ana riverbed and got some running water, some nasty ass stagnant water. And then at our local park, we have one of those fishing pond things. And I got some of that. So I sent him samples of the raw water. I'm then going to pour the water through the filter system, get samples, send that to him, then boil it and send it to him. And he's going to put it under his electron microscope that sees the stuff. And he's going to tell me, did this filter actually work? Can 3 buckets of sand, some charcoal make nasty water into drinkable water? And then the next one is, well, what's the other? So the first thing you need when the Greek goes down is what? Water. That's the first thing you need, because in 4 days you're dead without water. Second thing is power. How am I going to make power? Well, they have a bunch of ideas in here, or a bunch of projects. I'm going to build them and see if they work and film building it. It's not about giving you step by step. It's about saying, hey, the shit in this book works or it doesn't work. And it's this book and there's other books and whatnot. So that's my thing now. And that, because it's not live streaming like the political show was, I can do it on my own time.
Right.
And I'm not, I don't have to produce an episode every day. It's, I'm doing this one. I've been working on it for 3 weeks now. It'll be ready. It'll go up. The next one I'll do. It takes me a week to do it. It goes up in a week. If it takes me a month, it goes up in a month. But my point is, when I Googled and looked online for survival shows, how do you survive when the shit hits the fan? Everything is like dudes out in the forest trying to live with bears. You know,
Yeah.
I don't live in the forest. I live in the city. How do I survive in the city? And for where I particularly live, I mean, I don't know, what city are you guys in?
We're about 40 miles west of Nashville. So,
Oh, right where I want to live. Are you off the 40 where what are those lakes, the Dragon Lakes are?
mm,
The Dragon Lakes.
If you go east of Nashville on I think it's the 40, and then you hook a right where those the lakes that are up there, it looks like a dragon's back because they're all splintered.
you might be talking about Land Between the Lakes, maybe.
I don't know. I would have to.
I'm gonna have to look that up now. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's called Dragonback Lake or whatever. It just looks like a Chinese party dragon. That's cool because it's not like one big circle lake. It's
Right.
like a long, and it has the fingers that come off of it.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of looks like to me. Anyway, I've been looking at that area heavily to buy property. But anyway, for me in LA, there are two ways out of this fucking basin. And if the shit hits the fan and I'm not already moving, I'm not getting out. So I have to hunker down where I'm at. And a lot of people are going to have to hunker down where I'm at. And we all know when the mob loses its shit, when the food's off the shelf, how do you survive in the city? Which is why I call it City Guy Surviving. I got to survive in the city. And I don't have like you guys are 40 miles outside of Nashville. You probably got a running river you can go to that has decently fresh water that you probably don't even have to filter that much. You just have to boil it. And you got water to survive. You got plenty of food around you to hunt and kill and survive off of. I don't. Because I'm in Orange County, which is just outside of LA County. But what people don't realize is from the east side of LA, which is or the north side of LA, all the way through LA, on the south side of LA where Orange County starts, and then Orange County all the way south to where it hits Camp Pendleton. It's just one big concrete city. There's no space in between. There's no green belt. There's no forest. It's just one big city in this entire area. So I have nowhere to go. So anyway, so I'm building these things. I'm going to film it. And it's like, number one, I'm practicing because we don't want to wait till the shit hits the fan. And then you try it and that didn't work. I just wasted all that water. Now my kid's going to die. You got to do stuff that's going to actually work. And then people can watch and laugh at me as I break shit and, drink nasty water and get the shits and, let me screw everything up. And then you guys know what to do. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. And I like to build stuff. And this is fun, and I like to talk, and
Hey,
so that's kind of what I'm doing now. And racing lawnmowers. I have a 60-mile-an-hour lawnmower.
Hell yeah!
Better go. Yeah. No seatbelt, no roll cage, no suspension, and we do 60 miles an hour on a dirt track in an oval. It's NASCAR for men.
And you sure you're not from the Tennessee area doing all that? I mean,
dude, let me tell you. So I'm born and raised here in Southern California all my life. I was born in Whittier. I have an ex-girlfriend that has 10 acres in Mocksville, North Carolina. I went out, we were together like 5 years. I went out to her property for like 9 months or something like that within the relationship. The first day I was there, I walked out to her North 40. I had to go out and fix some shit. I walked out to her North 40 and it was quiet. And there was deer in the thing and there was dove doing this shit. And I literally looked around and went, wow, I'm home. I never felt more at home in my life than when I'm in the country. And I don't need to be out in the sticks where, it's 100 miles and no one's around you, but just in the country.
Right.
I absolutely belong in the country. I don't belong in the city. This is not my happy place. My happy place is, on 100 acres, some hunting cabins, riding dirt bikes, shooting guns, blowing stuff up. That's my happy place.
You definitely fit right in here.
Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely be a bonus to Tennessee because I'm looking at that Blue Ridge Mountain Range, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, right in that neck of the woods somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to end up at. But everybody's going there. Although I'm waiting for the housing crash to happen, I think I'll be able to pick up some property pretty cheap.
Yeah. East Tennessee is a very beautiful place to be,
and it's defendable, and it has water, and it has livestock to hunt. And I mean, my son, they're city kids. I just bought my son his first hunting rifle. I don't know a fucking thing about hunting. I've never hunted a day in my life. My dad was a city dad. My grandpa was a city, city grandpa. I need to learn how to hunt. My son, who's 15 years old now, wants to learn how to hunt. So I went and bought him which I do have guns, but for hunting humans. But I wouldn't. I was like, I need to add a sniper rifle to the mix, so I might as well get something. So we went and got wow, I'm drawing a blank on it. Starts with an S. Savage, the 30-06 Savage bolt action.
Nice rifle.
Yeah. So, well, that's gonna be his first gun. They were like, no, you should get him a 242 or something little that doesn't get. No, get him the big gun.
Yeah.
He's gonna learn about it.
Yeah, might as well just start them off with a bang. I think he froze
I
again.
think he froze on us again. See, we got talking about guns, and the government done hemmed us up again.
Yeah. Well,
Who knew having him on the show that the government would be after us so hard now?
right? Because I don't think we've had this issue like at all.
Never. Britt comes on here talking about all of his stuff, and they got a tracker on his thing.
Yeah, they're trying to shut him down, and he's completely gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Oh
Yeah,
no,
No, I should be back.
You're
Hold
back.
on, I'm changing. I looked down, all of a sudden I had like one bar on my Wi-Fi. So now I'm on my iPhone.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, everybody wants to bitch about 5G, but Jesus, 5G is amazing.
Yeah, they're. I think they're trying to shut you down, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so what I was saying before I was so rudely cut off by the CIA or the NSA is I need now that I got my kid a hunting rifle, now I got to learn how to hunt, take him with me. I got to find someone to teach us. And I mean, I could probably kill something, no problem, but I have no idea how to field dress. So
it's not too hard.
Oh, you guys go hunt?
I
He
grew up
does.
doing stuff like that.
I've never been hunting. So yeah,
you gotta learn. Because my son thought we'd go and hunt cows.
Oh yeah.
He literally thought we hunt cows. I was like, no. You hunt deer and elk and stuff like that, not cows.
Right.
Yeah.
But he wanted to hunt cows.
Yeah. Deer is venison is much better meat to eat. So yeah, it's definitely worth the trip.
All right. So you're gonna be my teacher? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, we can do it.
Don't throw that out there unless you mean it, because I'll fucking show up with my trailer. We'll park it right in the front yard.
Hey, that'll be fine. We'll figure out a spot to go and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, no, he's 15 years old and he's been beating me up since he was 13. And I was just like, man, I don't know how to, I don't, because I don't, if I'm going to kill an animal, it's to eat it. It's not for fun. It's not for,
Absolutely. Yeah, you
But
harvest it. You don't do it for a trophy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're harvesting it for food and then you still get the antlers out of it, that's cool.
But yeah, it's an extra bonus.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
So yeah, that's my life now. So there you go.
Hey, it works, and it sounds like you're keeping yourself busy and you're putting yourself to good use. And hopefully, when your show comes out, it's going to help some other people kind of get prepared for.
Hope so.
For whenever
When
something
show,
crazy does happen.
It's just a YouTube channel. It's nothing big.
Hey,
it's just me having some fun. And
if you can watch it, it's a show.
That's true.
As long as the government don't figure out about it, shut him down again.
Yeah. Well, I'll just jump over. I'll just go over to Rumble. Technically, I'm more focused on the Rumble side, the alternative economy, because Rumble doesn't censor, and it's right of center politics. Right. So that works for me.
Now I'm gonna switch gears back a little bit.
Oh boy,
you said that your kids are real into the paranormal. Are they actually wanting to start a team, or are they just kind of doing it for fun?
They have a group of friends that they're not like doing it organized where, they have a team and a website and, soliciting blah, blah, blah. But they have a group of friends that they're regulars, I guess you would call it.
Right.
Regular group. And, there's a handful of haunted places out where they're at that are kind of open to the public. One of them's a cemetery graveyard thing that was in the news a number of years ago because they weren't cremating the bodies properly. or at
Oh.
all. They were just burying them out in the back type thing. So it's
Oh.
got some weird stuff to it. There's also a place out there, the chicken coop murders, where the guy was kidnapping those kids. That was in the 60s, I want to say. 60s, 70s, kidnapping the kids and keeping them in chicken coops and torturing them to death and, doing the pedo thing. That's out in their neck of the woods. So they got some crazy stuff that they, did you just say nice?
Yeah. Cause that's, I've never heard about that before. That's new. Got to look into that.
The only industry we go, massive tragedy happens. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Get over there.
Well, I mean, it's back in the 60s. It's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody's really thinking about it now.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
it.
and they got K2s and spirit box and recorders and a thermal camera, stuff like that.
And see, that's kind of how we started as teenagers. We went to cemeteries and stuff like that and broke into these abandoned houses, but we didn't have like no kind of gear, obviously. And
Yeah.
so we were just basing
You
it
were
on
just there to get the girls scared so they would hang on you.
if we could
Hey,
ever
you can-
actually, if we ever
can't
actually
beat
got
the
any
old
to
one.
go with us.
You
I don't
can't
think-
beat the old VHS camera, man. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
VHS.
you have to,
Oh.
except for when I forgot to, take the lens cap off all the
Take
time.
lens
So,
cap off.
Yeah, that's not good.
but yeah, fixing to go ahead and wrap this up. Britt, you've been a great interview.
Oh, thank you.
If people want to look you up, what's all your social media sites?
Britt T Griffith. Make sure there's 3 T's in there. Britt Britt Griffith. On all the socials, it's all the same. At Britt T Griffith, all the various socials, you'll find me. Or just Google Britt Ghost Hunters, it all comes up.
Right. And you said your new show is just going to be strictly on YouTube. Are you going to promote it through any of your social sites, or?
Oh yeah, oh hell yeah. Come on, man. I'm a Gemini. I'm gonna promote the shit out of that. Yeah, no, City Guy Surviving. It'll be a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel. And then I'll just whenever I put episodes up, I'll push it out and let people laugh at me.
Well, I'm definitely going to check it out whenever it comes up. Like I follow you on Twitter and stuff, so I'm sure you'll.
You'll definitely see it then.
When it gets up and going, I'll give it a look. All right, guys, that about wraps it up for this episode. Again, I want to thank Britt Griffith for joining us this week. So we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace
See
out.
ya.